First tool.
Public information.
He got what he wanted. He got an agreement from our neighbors to do more on the border. That's what he wanted, and he got it.
Exactly what they have already been
I understand
doing.
you're the minister of propaganda tonight, but you don't have to be. You could just say, "Hey, all's well that ends well." Here, come on.
If you don't know that these countries are committing to do exactly what they have already been doing, either you haven't done your homework or you think the American people are idiots. Because again, they're doing
or option three,
exactly
or
what
option
they were
three, or
already
option
doing.
three.
It's this poor guy. I mean, he deserves some sort of civilian medal.
I agree.
From going into this lion's den of duplicity and dishonesty and putting up with these screaming memes every week.
But in a way, I mean, he's sharp on his feet, and it's probably just like easy pickings. I mean, they're so outclassed. Like when he made that comeback, just
yeah, I mean, he seems not to stress out. He never gets caught, off guard. Let me just put it that. He always seems to have an upbeat answer to their questions or their rants. Put it that way.
Yeah, it just cracks me up because he's laughing at him, and
he should, because they've been trolled by the king of trolls, Eric. And the story didn't even have a 24-hour news cycle. I mean, there was Schumer with avocados and Corona beer, and then now it's like, wait a minute, I just made this commercial 5 seconds ago.
Well, and the awkwardness of him. It's a beer.
Right. This is a guacamole. This is an avocado.
I mean, man of the people, Chuck Schumer there.
Boy, is he out of touch. Holy crap.
It's like, could you at least roll out Fetterman?
Fetterman would be better at it.
Because, you got to be like a beer. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I bet you've had a few there.
Hey, I'm John Fetterman. Are you getting screwed by tariffs and border situations? Maybe you could make Rolling Rock, like we said, I think came out of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Maybe he could sponsor Rolling Rock beer.
Yeah, except it's the Mexican beer that we're worried about. It wasn't a bad line, actually. I mean, that's something I could see Trump doing, but just Schumer doing it, it just landed so flat. Trump could easily do that, and people would be like, yeah, good point.
Eric, look how quickly they capitulated. This Scheinbaum, this Jewish woman who somehow is the president of a foreign third world country. Nobody ever seems to find this humorous. That she's in charge of Mexico, Scheinbaum. Trump said there's a president down there in Mexico. I think her name is Scheinbaum. I mean, he was like dancing around it. It was pretty funny. And she's now sending 10,000 Mexican soldiers to the border to beef up the fentanyl defense. And that's what he wanted. Yeah. The same with the former prime minister of Canada, Pierre Trudeau's son. Yeah, I mean, when is that guy leaving?
Never. I mean, it seems like nobody even talks about it anymore.
Okay, I'm going to talk about it right now, because not about that, but about the people who are losing their minds over commercials. I'm going to give you 3 alternatives. That's right, you. Sitting on the couch, the guy whose head is exploding because you couldn't catch the live show. You were too lazy to get off your fat ass. What I'm going to tell you is how to save your brain. Go to Locals, unstructured.locals.com, where you can watch this episode without any commercials. Or, Eric, they could go to Rumble, that has very few, right?
Yeah, it has a couple short things at the beginning. I don't think they have mid-rolls
Or
yet.
you could watch it live. You now have 3 alternatives for your crying and belly aching about being forced for free to watch ads on YouTube of a show you have no financial connection to. So I'm giving you 3 alternatives right at the beginning. Forgot to do it last week. We did it at the end. Just want to tell you up front, unstructured.locals.com, entire show, no ads, free. Okay, let's go on with the show.
All right, there you go. And there is one more option if you want to put money in YouTube's pocket. You could do YouTube Premium and never have any commercials.
That's right.
Any YouTube program.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And we still get paid when they demonetize us. So it actually does help us slightly if you do that. So,
yeah, I mean, I saw people last week going, commercials, I'm out of here, bro. You know, like, really? Do you do that with TV? You just go, commercials, I'm canceling TV.
Well, we seem to have a thing with YouTube. Either we're demonetized or our audience is punished with commercials. So it's really hard for us to get a balance. Because
neither one have anything to do with us. We're,
no,
you know, you're punishing us by saying, go F yourselves, I'm out of here. That's really an adult way to deal with it.
Oh, great. Okay, people are saying they get ads when watching it live. I don't know. It's YouTube is going to add you to death.
Again, unstructured.locals.com. We're all over there having a party, which we're going to have today at the end of the show. We're going to talk about you because you're not going to be there. So we're going to talk behind your back, or you could come over and do it to other people.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have you there. And while we're talking about other people, how do you feel about your statements on Friday? Because so far, it's going pretty well. We've got 2 people out of committee that are going to the floor, and it looks like that both Tulsi and RFK may be confirmed.
Yeah, well, it looks maybe all 3 of them, because Patel was the
he was the favorite.
He was the favorite to be confirmed anyway. I mean, I come from the world of negative thinking, so I mean, don't blame me. That's the way I think. And then when it doesn't go negative, I'm overjoyed. So it's my own psychological trick on myself. I doom and gloom, and then when it doesn't happen, I feel great. Yeah, I think all 3 are going to make it now, right?
It looks really strong, because especially the big point I think was, Tulsi I thought was the weakest, but having Susan Collins say, I'm going to vote for her. Well, then that takes out a lot of, because you have the 3 holdouts, Collins, Murkowski, and McConnell.
Well, Cassidy got the riot act on the phone, according to Cassidy.
Oh, and good.
Yeah.
He had a few conversations. And
yeah,
this morning on Two-Way, before the vote happened, Spicer is saying, if he votes no, then that is his retirement announcement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not worth it. I mean, think about the vote. It was 14-13. Everybody's celebrating a 14-13 triumph. But without Cassidy, it would have been 13-14.
Yeah, exactly. The other way. Yeah. I mean, he was that pivotal vote. And either way, it's going to the floor.
Look what you have to go through just to implement this guy's plans. It really is shocking. There's got to be a better way to do this.
Well, that's why I don't know. Wait, look what Elon is doing right now. RFK could be doing that as we speak. No confirmation needed whatsoever. Elon is making the Democrats and everybody go completely bonkers right now with USAID and now the education department coming up. Why wasn't RFK the health czar? Couldn't that have...
I don't know. Yeah, I never really understood that. I mean, I thought he could have done what Elon Musk is doing now. And I said that on the show, that I don't think he's an administrator to administrate the largest government agency in the history of the world. I mean, I think it's a waste of his talents, and tying him down to administrative things might not be the best thing for him. But that being said, I'll take it.
Well, and I'm hoping that he has managers working there, and hopefully he can delegate.
Good luck being the deputy. Good luck being the deputy of HHS.
I'm sure that there's already slaves that are in there that are used and abused all the time. What are you going to do?
Well, what I wanted to know, I thought the former president who just left was done. I thought we're never going to see this guy again. We discussed it on the show. We said there's no more revenue streams for him. He can't go on a book tour. He could barely go on a presidential reelection tour. He doesn't even have a book. And then I thought he can't go on a speaking tour, Eric, because of his age and infirmity. And yet today, he signed with Creative Artists, CAA, in Beverly Hills, the biggest talent agency in the world that has Brad Pitt and others, and they asked Trump about it.
What do you think about Joe Biden signing on the big talent agency?
You got to be kidding. He signed on with the talent agency?
He does. He's got some entertainment agents now.
I think he's got bigger problems than that.
No.
I think he's got much bigger problems than that, but I wish him well. We inherited a mess.
Yeah.
This place is a mess, but it's quickly being solved, the problem. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
You gotta be kidding
it
me.
caught him off guard. It caught
Yes.
me off guard. It's in all the trade papers out here. And I think it's to create a revenue stream for his crime family after he's gone, because you could then get royalties on whatever projects. CAA didn't sign him for fun. CAA has got Nicole Kidman, it's got Brad Pitt, it's got Scarlett Johansson, it's got every major star in Hollywood. They didn't sign Joe Biden just to have him on the roster. There are projects that they're thinking about for Joe Biden, and that could be documentaries, that could be book deals, that could be a lot of different things.
Yes, one thing.
What
the F happened during this election? That he has that story to sell. That everybody wants to know. And that one deal alone could be.
No. I mean, they all get a book deal, whatever. Even if that didn't happen, he'd still get a quote unquote book deal. But the question is, how do you promote the book? He doesn't have the physical strength to go out and promote the book and do a book signing and book tour. Even Hillary Clinton went out, and everybody has to go out on the tour. He can't do that. He can't go on a book tour.
His family can. They have time.
That's right. And if he goes the Obama route, with Netflix, where all of a sudden his son is him and his son are the producers of Netflix content, then there's revenue, Hunley, for forever.
Sure. And you know what? If they can throw money at Meghan Markle and her idiot husband.
And Obama.
Well, yeah, but at least Obama pulls in some eyeballs. Meghan Markle and her idiot husband are among the worst.
Right. No, I'm not talking about reality shows. I mean, Obama's content had really nothing to do with Obama himself. Right. I mean, they produced documentaries, they produced movies. It wasn't about him. And I think that's what this crime family is going to do. They're going to do the same thing as Obama did.
Okay. So I guess they may be connected enough that they can have Clooney or actually talented people come up with projects and just stick their name on it.
Right. No, of course. Of course.
Okay, I get
it. Yes. They'll create a shell company, Biden Productions, and they'll run everything through this shell company. And whatever comes out, it doesn't have to have anything to do with Biden. It could be regular drama, because the book is a one-shot, one-off. I mean, CAA didn't sign him for a book deal. They have other things in mind for this mutt.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how this goes. This is some breaking news that just came in as we were talking. Black Hawk helicopter was flying too high before the mid-air collision with American Airlines flight. NTSB confirms. This literally just came in.
Yeah. Well, again, the woman who is in question here, who was scrubbed, Deloach, whatever her name was, she was not the pilot, Eric, right? I mean, there was a pilot. She was a co-pilot.
She was the pilot. There was a pilot instructor. She was training. Somebody was supervising her. Right. That chief warrant officer was the pilot instructor.
What does pilot instructor mean? The word instructor is confusing me.
Well, she was in training. So you have pilots, basic level pilots, and then you have other pilots that are higher level that train lower level.
She was training that guy.
No, he was training her.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
He was like, she was the pilot, and he was monitoring.
He's really in control of the vessel, though, right?
No, the pilot is driving. It's kind of like a driving instructor. In school, in a car, right? That you're driving. They're telling you do this, don't do this, don't do that, but you physically have control.
He can't override her and say, look, I'm taking control, or
possibly, but if he didn't have time or something went down or wrong, then how much time
I don't know.
You need?
I don't know. If we get the black boxes and the audio, maybe we could figure it out. The same thing with the one in Philadelphia. I remember when Hunt's wife was killed in Chicago. The wreckage was strewn like in Philadelphia for a matter of blocks, and they had to ask the people in the neighborhood to look for it, which is what they're doing in Philly right now for the black box on that medical jet.
By the way, to answer somebody's question here, a warrant officer training a lieutenant, she's actually a captain. And just because he's a warrant officer doesn't mean he can't be in charge. The same way as officers in training are sometimes trained by drill instructors, and they're enlisted. So when you're in a training specific environment, yes, they're still an officer and they're above you in rank, but they are under you in that environment or in that classroom. So
Well, it still doesn't explain why they had to scrub her social media.
I
mean, what is the reason for that? I mean, what possibly could have been in there that they had to delay announcing her name so they could scrub her social media?
I
In
don't
your
know.
humble opinion.
I don't know. And I mean, her recent work history being, working with the Biden administration. Remember, I told you there was another possibility. I don't know if I said it on the show. I was like, there was questions about who she is. It could be questions about who she's related to or working for or something. Well, she happened to be working for the Bidens. That's very, very
Oh, no, right. Of course. Yeah. With the Ralph Lauren thing, she was escorting him up to the stage to get the Medal of Freedom or whatever Ralph Lauren got for changing his name from Lipschitz to Lauren to avoid anti-Semitic aspersions against him and his company. But yeah, Ralph Lipschitz became Ralph Lauren and then got the Congressional or Presidential Medal of Clothing or something. But she escorted him to the podium. Okay. How does that happen? I mean, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's almost like anything the Bidens touched turned to shit.
100%.
Right? Anything in their universe was tainted.
100%. 100%. Damn it. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I could promote a user to moderator, and I don't see how to do it. So
okay,
I'll figure that out later.
Everybody, anyway. On your best behavior. Stop fighting over there.
Don't spam too many links in.
Don't spam
in
your links, and don't use foul language. That's all I could tell you.
Very, very frustrating. While we're talking about foul language, or I want to express foul language, we did a story on family of CIA. And it's been very popular over time, and
interesting.
It does kind of dovetail a little bit with current headlines. You said, I'm saying USAID or USAID.
You
said what?
You said back then.
Yes, you said back then. Look who was in charge.
Well,
or not in charge, but
no, she was working for them. But obviously, it's been a CIA operation since the beginning. USAID, American International Development. One of my favorite ones was Ruth Payne's father, who also famously was up in the upper ranks of USAID. Now, Tucker's father was Voice of America, but back then, Voice of America and USAID kind of worked hand in hand with the CIA as a triumvirate of propaganda out of the State Department. As Mike Benz has pointed out, there are two wings of the CIA, one in the Pentagon and one in the State Department. USAID and Voice of America, which Tucker Carlson's father, is an episode we did on Dick Carlson, became the head of Voice of America. And then, the Paynes, Ruth Payne's father was in USAID, as was Barack Obama's mother.
Right.
I don't know who this is. Is this the current guy or something?
This is just scrolling through different people. This is he is the current president of the Rockefeller Foundation.
Oh, okay.
He's been with, of course, Bill and Melinda Gates, and developed the International Finance Facility for Immunization, on and on. So it's just a wonderful crew.
Those things that they spent money on, the trans comic book in Peru, the tranny opera that they had in Europe. I mean, the things that they were spending money on, the DEI stuff overseas, was insane. That was so ripe for the picking of Elon Musk and his Dozers. The Los Angeles Dozers is my new favorite team.
Yeah. I like that. And they've been talking about that on two-way and other things, that USAID was a brilliant pick for Doge because they give money to all these BS programs to everybody in the world.
Overseas.
Right. So it's like, oh, no, stop. We got to give away American money. You're doing just great at home.
Well,
who's
it's
gonna
it's
fight?
even it's that's kind of the rosy part of it. The nefarious part is undermining people like Bolsonaro, giving money to people to undermine Netanyahu, by the way, who's visiting with Trump as we do the show.
Mhm.
They meddled in foreign affairs. This other stuff is kind of their rosy fun crap. You know, the Peru comic book of trans and all these other crazy things that are laughable, but the real money was for installing and toppling governments internally around the world.
Yeah, it sounds to me now, when you were talking about the triumvirate, am I right on this? That it's the voice is the mouth,
Yeah.
and USAID is the wallet.
It is the wallet. It is the way they hid money, but the CIA does not have to hide money themselves. USAID did far more than that. They burrowed in with guys in suits and ties, legitimate frontmen who would go into their governments of the other countries, physical guys, to embed themselves as either NGOs or representative of the NGO, USAID. They physically showed up and went. They would go to the parties and the dinners. Eric, the CIA couldn't do that. The Voice of America wouldn't do that. They were just based in a radio station, let's say in Miami or wherever they were based. But USAID was the actual suits and ties on the ground in a foreign country, interfacing with the other governments. If that makes any sense.
Okay, no, it does, and this is how you know that he's doing a great thing.
And the American people, mark my words,
Mhm.
the American people will not stand for an unelected secret group to run rampant through the executive branch.
Really?
Versus who
Being
already snapped
innovative
Really?
is good,
Really?
but Mr. Musk, this isn't a tech startup.
He's describing USAID itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
An unelected group.
These are public institutions that deal with things like Social Security and Medicare and national.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
This has nothing to do with Medicare or Social Security.
I
This is
didn't
all
vote for
foreign.
USAID, and I didn't vote for a Peruvian trans comic book with my tax dollars. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Exactly.
National defense and provide for the well-being of the American people. And the American people have a right to be part of that debate.
What Musk has done is
Part
he's chopped off the fingers of the empire, and these guys are the mouthpieces for the empire, and they're not happy about it. The empire is not happy about having their fingers chopped off in foreign countries where they've been operating behind the scenes for years, doing nefarious things. It's not just completely about the money. It's also about Rubio using his power as Secretary of State now through the State Department. He's taken this over now, by the way. I don't know if you heard that today.
Yeah, it's his department.
Well, he announced that to push back against this attacks on Musk, Trump came out and backed Musk again, and Rubio announced, I'm in charge of this program to counter their arguments, which will now disappear again, like the guacamole and Corona beer tariff. In other words, they're being hit so hard with this shock and awe. Their statements are obsolete by the evening news, and they look like a schmuck. They're looking like schmucks so fast that I think they're going to start to step back in their machine gun style of having a press conference with hair plug guy who had head cancer or whatever he had.
Well, I mean,
Rankin. What's the guy's name?
Raskin?
Raskin, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant because by the time they're answering one, you're right, they're moving on. And even with you going from USAID to education. So it's you were upset about that. No, we're on education. What are you talking? That's yesterday's
news. Now they're going to
news.
go crazy about education, and it's going to be, they're going to sign it, and they're going to move on to the next thing. And man, they've got them reeling, Hunley, reeling.
Yeah, who's next? That's what I want to know, because
this Department of Education thing is the best thing I've ever heard of. Because I mean, people think it goes back to 1776 when it goes back to 1976.
Yeah, it was Carter. And he just died, so this can go with him.
Well, his last words, they didn't know what he was saying, and they came very close, and he said, "Don't dismantle the Department of Education," and that was his last phrase, according to sources.
Oh, what a shame. Well, when I've seen some statistics that I can't remember where the U.S. was, but it was like number one, if not number one, it was in the top of
Yeah.
the world in education. And coincidentally, the plummet of the placement of U.S. education has coincided exactly with the education
Wow.
department
Wow.
over 40 something years.
Wow.
We're like in 40 something place. So
Wow, that's interesting.
yeah, isn't that how neat how that works? It's like this perfect parallel line of
Well,
just down
the
the
other
gutter.
parallel line that occurred was when I was growing up, New York and California were 1 and 2 within the states in terms of education. And then when they started to have mass illegal immigration into California, California went to 48th, 49th, and 47th in education. New York basically remained in the same position, number one, because of the lack of language skills here and every other reason, for the education. The teachers union is a communist organization that doesn't want to teach reading, writing, arithmetic, and wants to teach Marxism. Why do I know that? Because the head of the union said that in a long ass interview in Los Angeles Magazine here about 2 years ago. She said her job is to indoctrinate the children to progressive Marxist causes.
And she's
So
not a whistleblower.
Right. If you're
That's
saying
the
that
sad
out
thing.
loud, and she said at the beginning of the interview, this is no longer about reading, writing, or arithmetic. And I went, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, that's just insane. And you've got not only that, but also just graduating people, pushing everybody through instead of
Yeah.
kids used to get expelled. I'm sorry, if you didn't make it in high school or whatever, you were expelled.
Well, we
Now
had
they
we
just get
had
shoved
right
through.
we had Maud Maron on, and she was talking about the fight of the special schools in New York, how she had to battle against De Blasio, who tried to eliminate the high-end application schools in New York, that being Stuyvesant and Bronx High School of Science, and that was the last straw for a lot of parents, especially Asian and Jewish parents in New York. They wanted to eliminate the special schools for the brainiacs of New York. And I think that might have been their last DEI hurrah, Eric, trying to destroy those schools and take them down. I think that riled up enough family to push back in New York, at least.
Well, that and also the charter schools that they were pushing out, which Nate has come out and talked about that a lot. In the Bronx, he said that his area was among the worst.
Yeah.
And when the charter schools moved in, it became among the best in all of New York City for education results. So the unions immediately were fighting it tooth and nail to shut them down.
Yeah, they've been fighting charter schools for years. They used to fight parochial schools for years, but they kind of moved on because that became a difficult religious battle, Catholic schools, because Catholic schools, people attending it were not even Catholic anymore. They were just fleeing these decrepit public schools and going to Catholic schools. But now there's charter schools, which didn't exist in the 70s and 80s. That's what he's referring to. And the damage that these teachers unions have done on both coasts has been so enormous. There has got to be a plan put together to deal with them, Eric. Somehow they've got to have this power wrestled away from them.
Totally agree. Now, I just saw this in the chat, and I called the Social Security office and need to speak to a human. They told me I had 120 weight. I don't know if you saw this. I pulled it for a few weeks back or whatever. Some congressman on the floor called the Social Security department.
No, I didn't
set
see
his
that.
phone down, and he was just like, "Yeah, we'll wait." And in front of a witness, I was like, "Oh my God, that is so brilliant." I mean, think about that: calling in people from the department and then doing the call and saying, "Okay, here we go."
Wow. Well, I think it's going to get better. What's not getting better here is the people who lost their homes and lost everything went to apply at FEMA, only to learn that their identities had already been stolen, and FEMA had paid out the $46,000 in residential money to someone else and locked their accounts because they had come to say that they were the real John Smith. And they said, well, now we have to lock it up, so this will be resolved in about a year or two. So these people are breaking down and sobbing. Apparently, when there was a hack in LA a couple of years ago, they got all the Social Security numbers and phone numbers. And all you need to open up a FEMA account to get the money is, because of emergency rules, is a social security number and your phone number. So they purchased these on the black market and then went to look for homes that had been destroyed. Really brilliant on their part, really brilliant criminal mastermind to do this, and locked up dozens and dozens of accounts of people who came to apply to FEMA for the emergency money this week.
You know, I get frustrated seeing that kind of thing happen because there are tells. Now, they had to have a lot of people working with them in order to do this, because where did FEMA actually send the check, and to whom, and how did they cash it? They most likely sent it to accounts.
Yeah.
And if you're saying, oh wait, we've sent 20,000, 20 checks, 50 checks to the same account, that's kind of an odd thing. So there should be
they sent them
system.
in the names of 20 different people.
But if it's the same bank account,
I doubt it is. I doubt it is. That would be too obvious, I think. But it could be. You're right.
But I'm saying there's going to be a track record of who they sent that to. So if
Good luck.
It
It could be in Bulgaria, Eric.
It could be.
Yeah, that's what happened with the COVID money. Happened with the EDD money in California. They lost billions. It went to people not even in the country. Definitely not in the state of California. They were not here. I assume it was the same people who dipped in to the unemployment money and the COVID money. Again,
though, there's a routing number. Why is that going out of country? There should be flags in their system. The same way that, I get calls from the bank, and, I go to buy something at the store sometimes, and it's like,
except a lot of the red tape was cut because of the severity of the fires and stuff. So you can't have it both ways. I mean, that's why it's so slow, and they moved it quicker to get rid of some of these checks, I think, on the system, not physical banker checks.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of ways.
But these people are heartbroken now because now
because now they're doubly screwed.
Their accounts are locked. They can't get any money. Somebody's already taken the money, and they've got identity theft on top of it, Eric.
Yeah, you know what though, California, they really hate the idea of ID.
Well, you didn't need ID for this. All you needed was
no, that's my point.
Your phone number.
No, my point is that you could use ID. Like, how about you have to physically go show up to one of the 40 locations or whatever it is and go pick up a check? How about that? And
they could, but a lot of people didn't have ID. It was destroyed in the fire. That's why they streamlined it to your social security number and your phone number. Yeah, I agree.
You know what? Still show up in person, because then you're on video. Right? It's like, okay, take a picture. Here you go. Social security number. Thank you very much.
Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe they did pick it up, Eric.
All right. Well, I don't know. Well, everybody
we had cases here. Yeah, put in the comment what you think, because we had cases here. We had a case in Glendale a couple of years ago where this guy dies. He leaves his home to his kids, right? Mm-hmm. The corrupt realtor comes in, forges the deed, sells the home to another couple, and then flees back to Armenia with $2.7 million. The couple that's in there, the young couple, bought the home. It wasn't their fault. They didn't know anything. Then the children showed up. This son and daughter, who were in their 30s, showed up for their father's house in Glendale and said, "Who are you people?" And they said, "Well, who are you? We bought this house from Glendale Real Estate down the street." And the person who said it, who sold it, simply forged the deed and took the 2.7 and went back to Armenia, never to be seen again.
That's one of those. It's a bitch, and
we have a lot of that here.
Pawn shops. There's a thing with pawn shops that kind of thing goes on a lot. Like where if a TV is stolen, even though TVs are have no value anymore, but if something is stolen and it's pawned into a shop, and then the pawn shop sells the item to the people lose the item because it's stolen property.
In theory, you're correct.
Even though it wasn't their fault.
Yeah,
and
in theory.
This might be a similar situation. Or the pawn shop loses their ass. If it's found in the pawn shop, then it's seized from there. Tough shit, whatever you put out. Good luck to you.
By the way, I came up with an idea. If anybody's interested, you could comment down below about how to deal with the two fires here. I got some good feedback on Twitter. You know, the first part was the Altadena fire, which is more of a working class neighborhood. That one, as I expressed before, I believe that FEMA trailers should be put on their land and hooked up to, you know, the local water and power. And the second part of my plan, in other words, they're now clearing the land, Eric. They've got guys in hazmat suits. They're moving pretty quickly to clear the little plots, each person's plot of hazardous material. So now you seem to have a empty plot of land, not large, but you know, a middle class neighborhood, whatever the size is. I believe that a Sikorsky helicopter could drop a FEMA trailer brand new on each plot. That's my plan. And whatever anybody thinks I'm a nut, that's all I can come up with, Brainiac wise. Number two, the other fire, which is a completely different fire, the Palisades in Malibu, had some of the highest real estate in the world. And because of that, they had enormous amount of taxes going into the county that's now left. They've gone to Orange County, they've gone to Newport Beach, they've put their kids in school down there. Hundreds and hundreds of parents couldn't wait because they have school-age children, Eric. So they moved to Newport Beach, which is a Trump stronghold, by the way, in Orange County, and have it. This is going to be great in the summer when everybody realizes who everybody is, because everyone from the Palisades was a blue person.
No.
So they've enrolled maybe 400 children so far in schools in Newport Beach. So these kids, and they're not going to come back, and they're not going to keep yanking their kids out. So what I had in mind for that strip, which goes all the way up the coast, is to create a Malibu Riviera of high floor condos like Miami Beach and make it into Miami Beach. I was recently in Miami Beach, and it's a boom town of condo building and development. The 17-story ones, 20-story ones, 15 stories, 10 stories, luxury condos. And that was part of my proposal I put up on Twitter, to make this a new like Malibu Riviera, because these single family homes are now illegal in California. They've been zoned out. So anyone who buys their plot of land is going to make a multi-family dwelling. And that could be a fourplex, a 6-floor apartment, a 2-floor apartment. It's going to be a mishmash of different weird random things. And what I'm suggesting is that developers like a Trump, you know, like Rick coming in here and others from Miami Beach and building up a luxury stretch of condos. And I know people hate this, but Miami Beach is booming like a motherfucker right now with these condo developments close to the water in Miami Beach. And it could be the best way to resolve innumerable problems in Palisades and Malibu.
Yeah, I mean,
Just putting it out there. I haven't heard anybody mention anything like this, so it seemed to
and
me
they can
that
cut deals with the landowners that you know, you're guaranteed 1 or 2 condos out of the lot.
There's all kinds of deals you can cut. They could be 10-story buildings, 20-story buildings, 15 stories with malls, shopping on the bottom. You got the beach across the street. You've got all kinds of international sales that can occur, like in Miami Beach. And look, I've been to Miami Beach a couple of times now. The cranes are everywhere. The building is, and the average price of a condo in Miami Beach is about $580. The houses that were burned to the ground were worth between $2 and $10 million. So buying a condo is not going to change the planet. But when you have thousands of them, you can reinstall the tax base into the county that has now been completely drained out by people fleeing.
Well, also, I mean, when you say that, sure, but if you're talking about a multi-story unit, even a 4-story unit, you know, 8-story unit, you're talking how many condos now? 16, 18 at 500,000. Now you're at $8 to $10 million. So
I'm talking about 15-story, you know, like they have in Miami Beach. Look at the skyline. Sure. They've completely redone the skyline of Miami Beach. There's no reason it can't be done in Malibu. Those houses were there since the 1950s. That's how out of date it was. 1960s. The Pacific Palisades one were obviously relatively newer, but they were huge. They had one family in them.
And good point. People are bringing up about earthquakes. Definitely make them, you know, sturdy for earthquakes. But there are
San Francisco multi-story buildings. They are
units in California.
retrofitted. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there as an idea because Rick Caruso is now going to be battling this guy, Steve Soboroff, who has been named the housing czar by the Marxist mayor, Karen Bass. And Soboroff has not shown his hand as to what he's going to do. And Joel Pollack, who is the head of news at Breitbart, lived in Pacific Palisades. He was at the town hall with Trump last week, and Pollack called for a special master, and Trump agreed to this, to oversee the flow of money from the feds to Los Angeles so it doesn't get stolen, which was a brilliant move by Pollack, and Trump said that's a really smart idea. He then, put Rick Grinnell in charge, but Grinnell's not going to be the special master. Trump is going to see this at some point, that as a builder, he's going to see what I just described. I have a funny feeling that even on his own, it's going to hit him that this has to be developed into condos all along that as a new Malibu Riviera, I predict.
Yeah, I mean, better condos and low-income housing, which is
Absolutely,
what Bass is going for.
Absolutely, that's what Bass is going for, and that would be 4-plexes and 8-plexes filled with low-income housing.
It'd be projects. It'd look like
the
Baltimore,
projects.
The Wire.
It would be Baltimore and The Wire. Yeah, this has to be headed off by a mega plan of development that's super, super high end, Eric. It was super high end to begin with economically. It's got to be replaced with super high end, is my theory.
Yeah, I think that could definitely work. Speaking of Trump, he opened 2 dams.
Yeah, it's now called the Trump Pump. This guy, Steve Hilton, was up there near Santa Clarita. Trump sends in the Army Corps of Engineers, of course, and despite what Newsom said, there is a spigot to turn on, and Trump knew about the spigot, and he sent the Army Corps of Engineers up there to turn on the spigot with an executive order. And wouldn't you know it, the next day, Newsom signed an executive order claiming that he came up with it. And the water came cascading down into Southern California.
Wow.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, this guy is going to have Trump hate him so much. By the way, they were talking about the governor's race the other day. This guy, Steve Hilton, who's a British Fox guy, is thinking of running for governor, and I have to come out early and being opposed to it because I don't think the people in California are going to vote for a bald-headed British guy. And I think he's just going to, and I know he's an American citizen on paper, I understand that. They're just not going to vote for a bald-headed guy with a British accent to be the governor of California. Somehow they voted for one with an Austrian accent, but he was a superhero named Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was a special case. But like I said, Shanahan is now thinking of getting into the race, and some others with big money and big names, including Rick Caruso, the developer, who is a Trumpian figure out here on the West Coast. A lot of people in the rest of the country don't know who Rick Caruso is. He's a major developer here, designed the Grove. He designs all the shopping malls, very upscale, and was involved in the mayor's race against Karen Bass recently.
All right. I didn't do my homework, obviously, and that's because I need to have more coffee.
Oh, okay.
Which I recommend for everybody here. As you can see, I'm dragging. I'm a little bit slow, but you can solve that issue with a little America's Untold Stories Supreme Breakfast Blend, which is available now. And I would recommend consider getting it as soon as possible because the market is really, really fluctuating like crazy right now with the tariff situation and the panics. The distributors are, trying to raise the prices on the coffee house for the raw beans. Consider getting that. It is the best coffee out there. Sincerely believe that, and you will definitely love this coffee. It is, as I keep saying, you can drink it without creamer, which I appreciate. Just having the straight raw coffee. It's nice, warm, well-rounded, very rich, and no creamer or anything like that necessary. Consider getting it. It does help us out. It's a veteran-owned business, and it helps him out. Definitely appreciate it.
Helps the veteran out. You know what? This black and white thing reminds me of like World War II or something, the way he's got that design.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of a spin-off of our, it's our logo.
Yeah.
But it's a heat dye type of an ink, and it's only in black and white. So it's kind of.
Can we bring that to our meetup in Las Vegas for the big Las Vegas Barnes Lollapalooza meetup?
I am absolutely sure we can, or get some.
Okay, yeah. So April 12th is a Saturday night. Saturday night is better than Friday night because people work on Friday.
It is Passover, but
that's okay. Well, the angel of death will pass over the Jewish households. It's you, it's you people that have shit to worry about, bro. I just put the lamb's blood out on the doorway, and the angel of death just says, "Okay, he's good. Let's go. Keep flying. There's one. Hunley, there's Hunley." So anyway, it's April 12th, Saturday night, Barnes's birthday. We're going to be in Las Vegas, so it'll be like a like a Rat Pack kind of theme. It's in this Italian restaurant, which is kind of nice, and it'll also be almost around 100 days of Trump. So we will celebrate the first 100 days of Trump. It's a couple of days off, but it'll be at least around 90 days. And I think we could then have discussions as to what Trump has achieved. Look what he's achieved in 2 weeks.
I know.
I mean, this is going to be a fun party for us because it's going to be 100 days of Trump, basically. And we'll see at that time what this guy has pulled off. I mean, and if this is 2 weeks, imagine by April 12th, the night of the meetup.
I'll be ready for a nap.
Yeah, it'll be really. Well, he said there's going to be so much winning. You're going to get sick of winning.
I know, but he's a marketer, and you're like, oh, that's just a marketing. It's like, oh no, he's not kidding.
He's not kidding.
God. Oh my God!
This shakedown of Ukraine is absolutely brilliant because the Chinese, the rare earth mineral shakedown. I mean, the Chinese have countered his tariff with a withholding of rare earth minerals from the American military. So Trump quickly, and he must have had this on the shelf ready to go, said, I understand Ukraine has a lot of rare earth minerals. What the hell are we giving them so much money for? I want all of those rare earth minerals from Ukraine, is essentially what he said. And then he said, Zelensky's got to call for elections. I mean, this is not going to go well for Zelensky. I mean, we're going to take all of their natural resources and rightfully so. I mean, we kind of bought them,
I was blown away by that.
Yeah, me too.
Me
too. I did not. None of these did I see coming. None of these.
No, it's just, it is purely shocking what he's doing.
How about the sovereign wealth fund?
Well,
we kind of hinted on that last week with Twitter. I mean, with
here's the.
We're
go
telling
ahead.
Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money hand over fist. We're giving them equipment. European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between. They don't. It's more important for them than it is for us. But they're way below us in terms of money. And they should be paying at least equal. They should really be paying much more than us. But let's say equal to us. And they're billions and billions of dollars below. So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things. We're telling.
Wasn't that a rock band, Rare Earth?
Yes, it was. And that is so brilliant because they already had the money, and that money was quote unquote loans. Mm-hmm. We're always giving loans out. Well, you know what? We need the loan paid back.
Yeah.
Give us a rare earth. It'll pay back your loan because you don't have any damn money.
Well, I think you could give us wheat also so we can make the price of bread go down to 5 cents. Sure. How about that for a start? Sure. There's a lot of different things he could pull out of, but this is in response to the response by the Communist Chinese Party on the tariffs, Eric, which I think we should make clear that's his response to that. Now, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which I didn't even know was a thing, You and I were talking about this in regards to TikTok last week, that he would take the money from the sale of TikTok and put it into a thing called the Sovereign Wealth Fund that could help with infrastructure, bridges, roads, education, homelessness, whatever you want to do with it, and begin to build up a separate fund for the United States people, which he was rambling on about. I didn't really understand it with TikTok at the beginning.
It's really confusing. The Treasury Secretary is talking about it. I'm actually a little concerned with it because the guy's like, oh, you take the balance. I'm like, where's the balance when we have a $30 trillion deficit? Where's this extra money laying around?
I think they're trying to set up a separate checking account, is what I gather.
I know, but this is
like
my worry.
Where does the money go? Let's just take TikTok, for instance. They have about 60 days left to make a deal with Trump, right? So he wants $500 billion out of TikTok. I presume this would go into the sovereign fund, as opposed to the bottomless pit of debt that you're talking about.
Well, which I understand, but this is my concern, and I could be 100% wrong. And everybody comment below and say that I'm an idiot. That's fine. I don't want it to be a situation where I'm $100,000 in credit card debt and I open a new bank account for my income. It's like, wait a minute, I don't have income. I'm in deficit right now.
Yeah,
and this is it's sort of confusing to me, and because I'm not a financial expert.
Other countries have it. Other nations have it.
But they have a surplus. Like Norway has lots of money. They don't have a national debt that I know of.
I don't know if that's true. I'd have to look at each country to make that delineation. But right now, this is another new idea, Hunley.
I understand that's a new idea, but the idea of this other fund and then saying, oh, we can throw that in the stock market and we can muck around. I'm like, I don't know that I want my government.
Well, what do you want to do with $500 billion from TikTok? What do you want to do with that money?
Well, you do have a national deficit that could immediately be paid down, which we're paying interest on right now. We're in the hole. So,
okay, how long does that $500 billion exist based on how much the debt is eating up our money daily? In other words, the $500 billion would disappear within a month.
Yes, it would, but we still.
But what if you put it in a special secret rainy day fund, Hunley?
Well,
a special sock,
dude. It's not a rainy day. This is the damn ark of It's Noah's Ark.
Take the $500.
It's a flood, dude. It's not rainy.
You take the $500 billion and you put it in your sock drawer. You still have credit card debt. I'm not saying you don't. But let's say, like, how are you going to buy weed? How are you going to buy whiskey? How are you going to buy wine?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I wanted a Bitcoin then. Give me $500 billion in Bitcoin.
I bet you he does that. I bet you he does that. I guarantee you he's going to do that. Now, that's a good idea. It's a great idea. We're going to have $500 billion in crypto right out of the gate.
Maybe. Anyway.
He's going to try to separate this from that debt is what I smell.
I'm sure he is. But again, I'm not a financial expert.
I don't even know if it's legal.
Yeah. I don't know that it's legal. I don't know anything about it. It seems kind of odd, but we'll see.
Everything he's doing is odd. There's nothing normal about what the guy's doing. He's restructuring American society. So yeah. Which was sorely needed and why people voted for him. I mean, did you see those numbers, the optimism numbers on the next 4 years that CBS put up?
What are they now? Because
dude, it was like between the age of 18 and 29, 67% optimism. Dude, it went through the roof. I grabbed a screenshot of it for you and I sent it to you last night. I almost fell off the couch. It was like 67% of 18 to 29-year-olds are now optimistic about the next 4 years. The lowest group was the oldest people because they're going to die. Unfortunately for them, they're going to miss the boat. But the kids are completely optimistic.
Yeah, but that's the most important thing. I mean, that's the future.
Yeah, okay, 18 to 29.
Wow.
Now there is a woman named Diane Francis, and I was wondering if you could find the cover of her book. This, if you're looking for the screenshot while you're looking for that, maybe you can find the cover of a book, which I didn't send you, but there's if you look on Amazon maybe or something, she wrote a book called Merger of the Century, which I think is important. And apparently the Trump people are well aware of this woman. She's a older woman, has a column she writes. She's a book writer. She's an American who lives in Canada for many years. And she has called for a merger of the two countries into one big country. And apparently this is where the entire thing came from about Canada, is from this woman. And the book is called Merger of the Century, I believe, by Diane Francis, Francis. And she is the one driving this train intellectually. And she says that Canada, based on resources, is $13 trillion more than the United States has in resources in the ground. And she added up every state's resources, and Canada turns out to dwarf us in natural resources to the tune of like $13 trillion. And that's part of her motivation as to why we should merge with Canada and have one big United States of America. She's not saying to keep anything Canadian, but have a complete merger and takeover, not as a 51st state. She thinks that's a joke because Canada is worth more than all the states combined. Oh, here's the book. Okay, yeah, that's it, Eric. This is a book that Trump people are in contact with her about for the past year or two. And this is where the thing is coming, according to her, about the Canadian interest, the interest in taking over Canada statewide or as a 51st state, or as she suggests, a merger.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking about that. And
what do you think in the comment section? If people want to comment on a merger with Canada, before Eric continues, put in the comments below, because this is revolutionary as well, Eric.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there happens to be another country that is about on the same latitude that has, I think, all of the same resources that you're talking about, and that's Greenland.
I don't know about that because she did a study for years and years and years about Canada. I mean, I'm sure Greenland does, but she's saying that Canada dwarfs us. I don't think Greenland dwarfs us in natural resources.
I don't know. I mean, they have
oil and
they've got oil. They have rare earth. They have. I mean,
well, it's not the size of Canada. I mean, Canada's so
no. But it's easier. To, look, you get Canada, you get who lives there too. And
okay, those are good people. You got a lot of Vivas. You got a lot of Vivas.
A lot of Vivas. We already have him.
We already have hockey. He was there with the Florida Panthers with the Stanley Cup yesterday, Trump. And they're all dressed like Trump. I don't know if you saw that. The entire Florida Panthers team showed up with the Stanley Cup, and they were all wearing red ties and the exact white shirts like Trump was wearing. And he said, "I like your look," which is kind of funny. But yeah, we are Canadianized. I watched a film the other night that I recommend. It's called Saturday Night, and it's about Lorne Michaels and the creation of SNL. It's a drama, and it's in real time leading up to the first episode and the rehearsals and the chaos that goes on. Amazingly well done film with a lot of different stars in it and cameo appearances. It's not a comedy, it's a drama, and it's about the creation of SNL by a Canadian named Lorne Michaels, and a bunch of other Canadians were in the movie, like
Second City.
Dan Aykroyd. Right? No, absolutely. But I'm saying what I'm trying to say is we have been Canadianized anyway. It's not like they're not completely embedded in our culture. They are, and they've made enormous influence. James Cameron, I think, is a guy from Canada, right?
No, Cronenberg.
There's a lot of it in our culture, is all I'm trying to say, and it's a good movie. In case anyone wants to see it, it's I think on Prime or one of these channels on series called Saturday Night. It's directed by Ivan Reitman's son, by the way. Ivan Reitman, who did Meatballs and Caddyshack and worked with National Lampoon and blah, blah, blah. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to say is we have a lot of overlaps. I don't know anybody from Greenland who's in the comedy business.
Okay, I understand all that. What I'm saying is that if you want to screw up, it's the same way. You know, Texas could split into 4 states, right?
California too?
No. Legally speaking, it's actually in their contract. California would go through hoops trying to do it. Texas, when it became part of the union, retained the ability, and they have it in their charter that they can become 4 states. What would happen is you would have 3 Democrat states and 1 Republican state. Do you want?
You're talking about Canada?
No, I'm talking about Texas. I'm using.
Oh,
it as an
hold
analogy here.
hold off on Texas for a second, because I'm just trying to see if the people want us to get Greenland or Canada. If they can decide in the comment section which you would rather have, or both. Maybe they want both.
Well, I want both, but I'm saying get Greenland now, because
Oh,
that
you
could be
want
like in
both.
Alaska in another
Okay.
state versus Canada, where we pull in a very vastly, heavily leftist society that's run through, and that will screw up every election coming into the future.
Oh, look at Viva. He's not. He's a sample from right out of Montreal.
Yeah, and he ran for office. How'd that go?
I don't know. I didn't follow him. I mean, I'm saying I'd like a lot more Vivas.
I would like to have Greenland and have it as a territory, which I think
It
would
seems
cover
like
both
Greenland
grounds.
is essentially empty, though. There's 67,000 people there. They don't have
Exactly.
A
I don't need the people. We
Well,
want.
what
the
do you
resources.
want? What do you want? Just
I want the resources. Yes.
You're an animal. You're an animal. What about the people?
What about
Look,
them?
that's what I'm trying to
Well,
tell you.
there'll be
They
67,000
have
happy campers.
They've made a cultural imprint on our American culture, these Canadians. They're not just Eskimos. For the love of God, Hunley.
You're right. They have. So what? So they can stay there and keep imprinting.
You know, your aggression and imperialism to take the resources of the lands is terrifying to the American people.
No, I said buy it. Damn it.
Oh, buy it.
Just
Okay.
Alaska.
All right.
Well, buy it from Denmark.
Now, how do you like how Rubio went down and got the Panama Canal in 1 hour?
Hey,
That was quick.
on route to Colombia.
I think he went down with the treaty and he showed them the fine print on you're talking about treaties that you can't, it's a national security issue. You can't farm it out to the Chinese or any foreign government, I think, is in the treaty. And the guy said, "Oh, you got us there, bro. All right, you got us. We'll get rid of them." Hey, is Communist Party, please, can you get them on the line for me? China.
Hold on. Here's another one. I don't know if you saw this. El Salvador. The president in El Salvador said, "You have prisoners? You have violent people? Send them here.
Send them here.
Not even ours.
No, he doesn't care.
We'll take
Have
all
you
of them."
seen what it looks like inside?
Oh
his
my
jails?
God! Yes.
Oh my God! It looks like MS-13 packed in sardine cans.
Well, it is MS-13 and an opposite gang, and oh man, it is awful.
Well,
Awful.
wouldn't you like to be the guy who has to call communist China now from Panama and say, we got a problem? And you go, who is this? This is the deputy prime minister or president of Panama. I've been asked to give you a call. You're going to have to get out. We're giving you 30 days notice. You're going to have to take your locks, your bagels, your ships, your bridges, whatever you got there. It's got to go. It's got to go. That's what he did in one day with Marco Rubio going down there.
Well, that's one thing.
It's a shame that Carter's dead. He
Speaking Secretary of State.
Yeah.
That does. I think that was a
What about
consideration.
Grinnell going over to Venezuela and getting back
people
who were kidnapped and we
Hold
didn't even
on.
know it?
Barnes said something on yesterday or Sunday.
Right.
I don't know if you heard it. I thought, oh, he's saying that those people might have been part of an operation.
Oh, they always are. I took that for granted. I took that.
Okay.
That's how. No, it always is. It always is, of course.
So it wasn't like, they're on vacation.
No,
no.
I never thought. You would have heard from their families years ago. I mean, this was a CIA operation gone bad. Absolutely. It happens all the time. But they're still Americans, and he went down and got them.
100%. But
Yeah,
it's interesting. But
Yeah.
all right, here's your optimism numbers.
Oh yeah, look at this, Eric. Yeah. I mean,
That's
look, even
everybody's optimistic.
at 51 for the 65-year-olds.
So
That's
100%.
Look at those numbers.
That's fantastic. Yes. That's the 20th. So I'm curious. I want to see what's going on now, because there are some people panicking.
Who's panicking?
Well, the people who have been panicking over the tariffs. The tariffs are a hot button item.
Okay, I thought
So
the
far they've
tariffs
been- So far they've been
resolved.
working. Well, they're not actually technically.
Well, some of
China.
them are on 30-day notices. Yeah.
Well, no, China. With those started midnight last night.
Right.
10%
Well, that
of
was the
China.
rare earth mineral thing, right? That was their counter move.
Yeah,
And his counter
and-
move was to get it from Ukraine. So it's tit for tat, like most of these.
Well, if we
tariff
can
wars
get
are.
it. So the point
getting
is
back
that
to these
China
numbers,
is going to cause pain.
Getting back to these numbers, though, this is enormous. Anything in the United States, anything with his 67% of anything is a landslide of opinion.
Yes.
The fact that 66% of the American public are for mass deportations, separate from this thing, shows you those numbers mean it's almost 100% of the American people. When you get into the high 60s in this country, you're talking about everybody's in on this thing. And
especially
I know it's not
young people. This is a reverse. That's what's so creepy.
Complete reverse of the American.
Not creepy, but it's shocking because the young people are normally the ones that are against any Republican president in the office. The fact that young people feel optimistic is huge.
You know, I think they were sick and tired of fat fucks like Rob Reiner, saying the sky is falling. And when you're young and old people are saying the sky is falling, it's the reverse of the natural order. And I think they just got sick and tired of these old, I hate to say it, these old boomers saying the sky is falling, Eric.
Well, look at that bit with Schumer.
Yeah.
I mean, you just watch what I played earlier. It's like, this guy's so full of shit. He's so obviously full of shit.
Yeah.
Anybody can tell he's full of shit. And young people know. I mean, they've been lied to their whole lives.
Cortez saying that Musk was an idiot. I'm thinking here, you're talking about
oh my God,
calling the kettle black. She was going on about the intelligence of Elon Musk. And does anybody say this might not be a good theme for you? Being an illiterate idiot yourself, that you're calling this brilliant scientist an idiot?
Well, that's obviously
wow.
She's sniffing her own farts. I mean,
wow.
Yes, you bartender type.
Yes,
who has no clue about economics, even though you have an economics degree, are going to say the guy who's running more companies simultaneously while doing Doge is an idiot.
It shows you how out of gas they are and how they're running on fumes. That DNC election thing the other day was the craziest thing I've ever seen, with that black woman singing "Fight On," and then the chairman trying to explain the rules of gender voting. I don't know if you saw that clip. No. It's on all the news shows. It is the most insane thing. It shows you how out of touch the Democratic Party is. And then they elected, what's his name?
David Hogg.
It's not Hogg. Hogg is the co-chair.
Okay, but the fact he's even in there.
It's absurd. It's absurd. But the woman singing "Fight On," she says, "I have to sing what's in my." In other words, you had 30 seconds to explain why you should be chairman or chairwoman of the DNC. And she said, "I'd like to use my time to express something on my heart." And I'm going like, what is this? And she's going, "Fight on."
Okay. On. You know what that reminds me of? I'm sorry. Have you ever seen the Libertarian Conference?
No.
They're headed to be
crazy.
No, they're like people in shower curtains and
oh, okay. Oh, that's crazy.
It's complete madness. So I think we're headed to
oh my God, that was so creepy. That was so creepy. I feel sorry for what's his name, the Raging Cajun, who was interviewed. I saw him down in Louisiana. This poor guy's ready to shoot himself. Carville's ready to shoot himself in the head. He's going, "God damn it, what the hell's going on with this party? What a goddamn morons!"
He is a complete slimy bastard, but I find him charming in a weird way.
in a Clintonian way, yeah.
I mean, he's so old school. It just reeks off of him. Okay, you asked me, and I missed this. I didn't see it, but you wanted me to watch Tucker and Darren Beattie.
Okay. There's two things I got to say. One is, and maybe you can answer this: how these Russian bots get a hold of Tucker's shows and then put them out as if they're new. You know what I mean? Like they deceive, and the people in the comments, like, in other words, this guy, if you look at the two names below, it's not from Tucker's channel. It was an older show with Beattie, but it's intercut with newer footage of Tucker saying stuff to convince you that it's new. It was very subtle, and only a couple of people in the comment section even caught it.
That's one thing nice about X, because you sent me something like the last Friday that I played.
Yeah.
And remember I said, "Oh, this is from 2015."
It was the tennis match with Serena Williams.
Correct,
Right,
correct. But I
right.
don't know if you knew that it was from 2015.
No, I didn't.
Okay, but I'm a community notes contributor.
Right, right.
And so I'm seeing these proposed community notes, and anytime I get a post, I go in there,
Right.
and then I get to see things like that, like, oh, here's an article contradicting it.
Well,
and I'm trying to be
there's
careful.
nothing on YouTube to indicate this was Russians, and happened to be. I drilled down a little bit, and there was Russian language people. Not that there's anything wrong with the tape. There's nothing wrong with the tape. It was just an older show intercut with newer Tucker, as if Tucker was saying, let's take a look at this, from a couple of days ago. And then when you look at the timestamp on it, it says 6 hours ago.
Yeah. No, it's
wow. I mean, that's really deceptive, Eric.
Yeah, I got to be careful. And that happens all the time on X.
But
by the
I
way.
just wanted to say that because the information is really what I wanted to talk about. And that's what Darren Beattie has done. He is the one on top of the pipe bomber story. And the pipe bomber story, the video that's going to come out that he's released, that the FBI released, is going to blow this entire phony Reichstag fire of January 6th to smithereens, because the identity of the pipe bomber is now been revealed to be an undercover Metro police officer who put the pipe bomb there. And the second pipe bomb at the Republican National Headquarters, both of them were on 20-minute timers. So they would have blown up the night before if they'd been there the night before, but they weren't. They were put there and discovered within 5 minutes of each other, set for exactly 20 minutes before the vote in the House of Representatives to sanctify the election. So these two events, brilliantly by Beattie, he deciphered it was designed to take away police from the Capitol at the last moment, so there would be absolutely no police at the Capitol at the time of the riot. However, nobody found them, so they had to find them themselves. That's the brilliance of the Tucker Darren Beattie interview, and there's new footage that they bring into this thing.
There is a case out there, at least one of them, and I think it involved also a car bomb or pipe bomb.
Yeah.
And a hero cop who found it, and statement analysis revealed that he not only found it, he put it there.
Right. Well, this is the same case, because
nowadays
the guy with the backpack that we've seen putting the thing there then walks over into the next video and goes to the police SUV and the Secret Service SUV, talks to them both through the window, and he splits. So when they get out of their cars, they're like just stretching, even though they've been told there's a bomb 12 yards away. They let school kids walk past it. They go, hey, keep going, no problem. But they've already been told by the guy who put the pipe bomb that there's a pipe bomb there. And indeed, they go over and photograph it. They look at it. They stand around because they know it's inoperative. They know it's inoperative, but nobody found it. So they literally had to, quote unquote, find it itself. So this was the guy with the hoodie and the backpack. The second one, which I didn't know about at the Republican National Headquarters, was found in an alleyway of a restaurant behind a garbage can by a woman who said, oh, my Lord, look at this. So she was also an operative. The FBI didn't question either one of them. There's no record of either one of these bomb discoverers being questioned by the FBI. When they found out that the FBI was asked to trace the origin of the cell phone, they were told that the data was corrupted by the telephone company, except that a guy has now said at T-Mobile that he's now got the data. Anyway, all of this is going to come out when Kash Patel gets in there. So there's an earthquake volcano bubbling underneath the FBI now, just on this phony Reichstag fire J6 thing, because once the pipe bomb thing happens, now keep in mind, Kamala Harris would not say that her life was threatened by being inside DNC headquarters with a pipe bomb outside. Why she would neglect to say that, of course, reveals the phoniness of the pipe bomb and the operation, because if she pushed this, which she never did, they would say, let's get that goddamn pipe bomber, which they don't want to do because they planted both pipe bombs. The chick who found the second one at the RNC is now working for a company called Pendulum. And you say, Mark, what is Pendulum? Google that shit, people. Pendulum is a company designed to fight back against disinformation and misinformation around the world. They're a pro-censorship think tank that she now works for, the chick who happened to find the pipe bomb. Again, an inoperative version of a pipe bomb with a phony timer on it, that they look like training devices, and they probably were, Eric, training devices to train bomb squads on how to deal with it. The police in the first one asked for a robot dog to come in as a show, just to put on a show. But they had to get rid of the pipe bomb story because otherwise people would demand the head of the pipe bomber. And that had to be cut off. That's why Kamala Harris and Biden, in his fascist New World Order, red-bathed fascist speeches about the J6ers, never mentions that they put my vice president in harm's way, Eric. He never mentions that she was inside the DNC with a bomb outside. How easy would be, how helpful would it be to them to say they almost blew up the vice president of color?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and they never do. They never
Well,
do.
I mean, you already had Ocasio. Remember the whole boom, boom, boom. I heard the boom, boom, boom on the door, her crying video. And
anyway, this is not going to go away because Kash Patel is going to get on this. And this itself is going to blow up the whole Reichstag fire idea that this was an insurrection, I think.
Well, good. Take your time, Kash.
Yeah,
There's
no, I know. No,
there's a lot of stories. We got to spread them out.
This is a great one, though. This is a great one.
All right. Well, I don't know. Tracy Heenan says, isn't Pendulum dotted to Archwell Foundation?
That I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive on Pendulum, but I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Well, here, let's go back to your home territory of New York.
I told you this was going to happen. I told you. They're going to try to block anyone taking that seat. And this is what goes on when the opposition party smells that they can do this. They will block, change rules, do stuff. That's why I'm opposed to taking people out of House seats and putting them in positions of the government that are meaningless, like ambassador to the fucking United Nations. Stefanik was a fighter, and now we have lost a House seat there again.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they're going to drag it out as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, that was Trump doing that.
Yep.
All right, let's go through some super chats here. Dick Dickerson said it was a check ride, not really instruction. It was her aircraft, and the instructor was observing. Yeah, that's
okay.
What I was thinking.
All right.
John Pereira, I loved your episode on the Grateful Dead. Would you please do an episode on Frank Zappa? I think you knocked it out of the park.
First of all, I like Frank Zappa, but he's not the Grateful Dead. That's not. I mean, for the love of God, I mean, the Grateful Dead are a little bit bigger than Frank Zappa, but not that I'm opposed to Frank Zappa or Captain Beefheart for that matter. And Weasels did rip my flesh, but there nowhere is there the cultural influence comparison to the Grateful Dead.
Right, Bob Dylan's going to come first.
Bob Dylan's going to come way before that, and Bob Dylan played with the Grateful Dead. He didn't play with Frank Zappa, although one of the great Dylan stories of all time. He went to Zappa's house with his new album, doesn't know Frank Zappa, rings the bell. Frank Zappa's assistant comes down. This is here in Malibu. Frank Zappa's assistant comes down and says, there's a guy who says he's Bob Dylan at the gate. He wants to come in and play you his new album. And Zappa goes, what? And he comes in and he plays Frank Zappa his entire new album and asked Zappa what he thought of it. And Zappa tells him what he thinks. And he said, would you be open to producing my next album? And Zappa goes, me? He goes, yeah, you. Anyway, there'll be more about that story later. But somebody mentioned Frank Zappa. I thought I'd go on there. And I saw the Dylan movie this week. So it's on my mind. The Dylan movie, just for those who had questions about it, which was me too, It's a real movie. It's of the same quality as Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon. It's James Mangold directed it. It's a great script written by Jay Cox, who wrote Gangs in New York, wrote a bunch of stuff for Marty Scorsese. It's a real movie. It's got real art in it. Chalamet is great, and Elle Fanning as Susie Rotolo is great. It's a real movie. It really is good, and I highly recommend it. The music is fantastic. I don't know how he did it, but then again, Joaquin Phoenix did it with Johnny Cash. With Walk the Line. With all their crazy crap going on, the fact that there's no Harvey Weinstein to shepherd this film across the finish line into Oscar Gold land is a crime. There's nobody, and they're not putting any money behind the Oscar pursuit for this particular film. And it would clear up so many insane holes that they've dug for themselves, the Academy. This Amelia Perez movie, which I watched last night, which has...
Tell me about it.
Hey, Gewalt. It's got something like 13 Academy Award nominations. I don't even know where to begin because I force myself to watch this stuff so people like Hunley don't have to. I take one for the team, unlike others out there who are saying, good for you, Mark. You watch these pieces of shit.
Mark.
Good for you. This thing is a trans musical dance movie based in Mexico, directed by a Frenchman, not shot in Mexico, which is part of the uproar. It looks like a low-budget student film. Again, I'll just tell you this. Imagine Pablo Escobar as a tranny, because the head of the drug cartel says, I want to be a woman, and goes and gets this lawyer out of Mexico to facilitate a sex change operation in Switzerland, where he becomes a woman, takes all his money, dumps his family, and lives as a woman in London. And you're just going like, how is this even possible? Now it's interrupted by the worst songs ever written, because they're not really songs. They're people just talking with a little bit of music in back of them. So that's insane. And then they break out and dance. And the dance is actually the best part of the music, because they look like they got an Indian Bollywood choreographer in there to do real dance numbers. It is the craziest movie I've ever seen. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't know how they get out of this mess, because now the star of the movie, who is a woman, a trans woman, they've dug up her tweets from a couple of years ago, and apparently she was a racist bigot who hated George Floyd and everybody else in the world. And now the Academy wants to shoot themselves in the head because they created a trans Trump monster who's now up for Best Actress as a trans woman starring in a trans musical movie about the drug cartels, if that makes any sense.
I love it when intersectionality happens.
It's just slammed into each other. Now, I don't know if you saw, what's his name from Barstool Sports.
Dave Portnoy.
He was in an airport, or he just did a hit on his cell phone on Instagram or Twitter or wherever he was, talking about Gladiator 2 and how bad Gladiator 2 is and how angry he is, because he wanted to kick back, watch it in his underwear, in his living room. He was saving it, and he began to watch it, as I did, and it is the biggest piece of shit. And Portnoy is just yelling, how did this get 85% on Rotten Tomatoes? And he's realizing that it's corrupt, but, oh yeah, show a little bit of this. This is really funny.
All right. I got to do a quick rant because I'm that mad. I've been saving Gladiator 2 for like a couple months now. I love Gladiator 1. I'm like, I need a Saturday night when I'm locked in, seatbelt on, popcorn, Cheez-Its, you name it. Like, I'm ready to roll. I lock in. I buckle up. How has nobody told me that Gladiator 2 is like the worst movie ever fucking made? You're telling me it's a 71 critic score on Tomato and an 82? Puke. This movie sucked. It was so not believable, any of it. Who cast the two emperors? The twin emperors. What, they take 1 second casting those fucking clowns? Like those clowns would be emperor of Rome. They get fucking their heads cut off in 1 second. Denzel, who goes from like buying Paul Mescal, the slave, like buying him to waltzing into Rome, and he's like king 3 seconds later. Like, what world are we talking about?
He's right.
This movie sucked. I hope you don't watch it. Ridley Scott should be ashamed for making a sequel. I hope Russell Crowe puked on himself. The Gracchus, the guy with the white hair who's in the first one, like, the Senate speaks for Rome. They just kill him like he's a nobody. The queen, the lady, she gets fucking murdered. Why do we have Paul Mescal and his son both in the movie, but they don't know each other? The whole thing.
It's insane. It stinks. It stinks. But the confusion came in because it got such high critical acclaim and audience acclaim that the numbers he's talking about are the real numbers. It blows. It fucking blows. And I'm glad to see him or Michael Rappaport or someone give an honest movie review of that movie. I felt exactly the same way. Luckily, I didn't pay for it, but there is something, I'll tell you, there's a thing called Taboo with the incredible, of course, Thomas Hardy, who I will watch do anything on the planet Earth, anywhere, anytime, set in the 1700s in London. This is a fascinating episodic series involving the British and American in the Revolutionary War. And he's a spy either for the Americans or the Brits or somebody, and it involves the East India Company being run by Jonathan Pryce, and they're like the Amazon, like he's like Jeff Bezos of that period. And this is like 1760-ish, around there. The set design is unbelievable. The costuming is unbelievable. Just a brilliantly directed and produced episodic called Taboo. Highly recommended. With
it's a few years old. I remember watching. I think I don't know if it made it past one season, but
I don't know. But I'm in season 2 now.
Oh, okay. Well, I know I saw it years ago.
Oh no, right. I'm not in season 2. I may be at the end of season 1. Sorry, take it back.
All right. John S. Mark, Eric, here in the UK, we're getting off our fat asses finally as Nigel Farage's Reform Party polled as the most popular party in the UK this week. Just hope we still have some time left.
Yeah, I've been saying this, and people complaining. Look, it's not about Nigel Farage. You just need a platform to go against the evildoers. I mean, again, it's what Trump did with the Republican Party. Forget about Nigel Farage. You need something to get onto, some bandwagon. Jump onto that party and ride this train and get those psycho mutts out of there.
Totally agree. Well, sorry I'm late. You could pay us to watch.
You know what? We thought about that, and then we quickly voted 2-0 against it. Hunley thought about it even less than I did.
Yeah, I did. There was no pause.
There was no pause. He said immediately no. I said, Hunley, how about if we pay them? We buy an audience of millions and millions of people, like probably these other places do.
There are some odd parallels, and different things. Now, not everybody is a scammer, and you can sort of tell because there's some people you're like years you can see them building, and getting big over time. Then you see other people, you're like, I
don't get it. I mean, not to begrudge Bongino, but he was talking this morning that he had 1.5 million followers and he got a trophy from Rumble. Now he's got $2.5 million of followers and he wants a different trophy from Rumble. This guy's got 2.5 million on Rumble, Eric.
He owns part of Rumble.
I know. That's what I'm talking about. I know. I don't own anything. I barely
if you and I own part of YouTube, I bet we get some promotion and less demonetization on the channel.
Right. I don't own this computer. I'm still paying off, for Christ's sakes.
God, finally. Sean Lucan with 20 America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you. Dustin, back on the case. Had to strong arm Cupid out of the way to get here on time. No Valentine's Day this year.
Wait, today is the 4th. Oh, we got 10 days, right?
Yeah, I guess. What, you beating him up early, Dustin?
10 days. I mean, holy crap. This guy's getting on the bandwagon early.
Yeah, Diffuse 56 gifted.
No, this is the guy with the tractor from last week.
Yeah.
Remember we were kidding around with what's his face last week?
The White Stripes guy.
Jack
White.
Jack White. Somebody in the comment section said I was a douchebag for torturing this poor guy. And I said, look, apparently you're the only one in the United States who's not in on the joke, schmuck.
Well, not only
The
that,
guy was
everybody else.
hassling me, thinking
Yeah.
I was serious about joking with Jack White. And I said, it looks like you're the only person who didn't get the joke.
No kidding. Oh my God.
You know, there is an increase in autism. RFK Jr. is correct. All he's got to do is come to this channel and he'll see the 500,000% increase from 10 years ago.
Now, Dick Dickerson gifted 50. Dick is back. 50 memberships. Thank you very, very much. And he said that the membership gifting was membership peeing on the ground to show my territory.
That's
you
funny.
showed it. You showed it, buddy. Thank you.
That's funny. Peeing on the ground like a dog.
No kidding.
Like a dog.
Fletcher boy, the country has changed more in the last 15 years.
Yeah, me too.
15 days than I can remember.
Yeah.
I'm 66.
Fletcher boy, completely. It's shocking how fast and how much radical change has occurred. Stuff we didn't even vote for. You know, like I didn't even see this coming.
100%. SWF, give the money to Nancy Pelosi to invest.
You know what? If only she had a show like on CNBC where she said, I'm going to invest in this, and we just copied her, we'd all be millionaires now. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, yes. Just put a tracker on all Pelosi investments.
Yeah.
We'd be the richest people ever. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people actually do that.
They probably do.
I'm sure they're brokers.
Dude, right. What about people on her staff? Just lowly staffers going, holy shit, she's investing in Schmengi Industries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to invest in Schmengi.
Well, and their brokers that are making the deals are probably calling their favorite clients saying, hey, Pelosi did this and this and this, but let's throw some money there.
Right. That always happens. That really is insider trading though, right?
Prove it.
Well, they have ways to prove it.
I know, but it is a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge, but they do have ways.
So, actually, you know what? That's a good point. Not just a tracker. I think there should be a site that tracks every senator or elected official's personal investments.
Yeah.
And whenever they make, the same way as, okay, if Elon Musk sells a bunch of Tesla, it's news.
Yeah.
You know that he just sold a bunch of shares. Apple, any of these people. I want members of Congress and high-level public officials
obviously
to have a ticker that
dude,
goes out.
Obviously.
I want a headline every damn time.
I don't even think they should be allowed to trade while they're in there.
Well, I know, but if I can't get that, then at least get me the exposure. At least get it.
Well, they'll put it in their husband's name until they're hitting the head with a hammer. That guy was probably trying to get stock tips from Paul Pelosi. I'll use this hammer on you if you don't give me the picks.
Wow. John McGill, will LBJ's guilt ever get exposed via Trump's JFK Files project? I saw Dim DiEugenio. Oh, he went on Sean Atwood, and his co-author claimed not to believe it.
Yeah, I saw that episode as well. And people on the left have a blind spot where they refuse, and they always say the same thing as was said on that show. One guy's a Canadian, by the way. They say that he was involved in the cover-up, but no. He couldn't possibly be involved in the planning. The cover-up, yes, well, we'll give you that. But the planning, no. He signed more legislation. He freed the slaves. He was involved in this and that. It couldn't possibly happen. They have a blind spot, Eric.
But I think they could be right. There may not be enough in there to conclusively prove.
Oh no, I don't think he's
that
stupid.
part. I think
that's why I don't believe Cliff Carter was stupid enough to make an audio tape with fucking Billy Saul Estes saying that LBJ shouldn't have hired Mac Wallace to kill Kennedy. I mean, give me a fucking break. I'm supposed to believe that Cliff Carter, who's one of the smartest men behind the scenes that LBJ ever had, decided to make an audio tape on the front porch in 1972, months before he's dead, with Billy Saul Estes, a guy just got out of federal prison, saying that LBJ had Kennedy killed with the help of his man, Mac Wallace, while LBJ is still alive. Call me crazy, but I think that is bullshit.
Now, we're not saying that it is not possible. There was a 2-month span, and he could have dropped everything and gone to Texas and did all that.
Yeah. But the idea that Cliff Carter would do that is absurd. Absurd.
Craig's on spot again. We have Canada 3 of the largest nickel mines and lots of rare earth elements the
Yeah.
USA has,
Yeah.
and 4th in aluminum production behind Russia, China, and India.
I'll tell you why that's important, because there was a plane that had to fly up because of the Cuban embargo. There was a plane that had to fly up from Louisiana every week, piloted by David Ferry, taking Clay Shaw up to the north of Toronto to meet with mining officials on how to get these rare earth materials to Clay Shaw's industrialist friends. And David Ferry piloted Clay Shaw on numerous weekends during the embargo of Cuba, where we used to get a lot of stuff out of Cuba.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's in the episode, either the David Ferry episode or the Clay Shaw episode. I talked about it.
Okay. Somebody sent in a Rumble rant with a link about Bobby Kennedy and the vote from
Bobby
Cassidy.
Kennedy and the vote about Cassidy. Okay, what
and what he had to promise Cassidy.
Oh yeah, God knows what that is.
Well, here's a list, and if it's true, it could be better. Read below and see if it's worth it. RFK Jr. will have a close working relationship with Cassidy with multiple meetings a month. Cassidy will help hire. Kennedy will work with current safety monitoring systems and not establish parallel systems. Maintain the CDC's advisory committee on immunization practices, recommendations without changes. CDC will not remove statements from their website pointing out the vaccines do not cause autism. Will not use sue and settle techniques to change policies without Congress. Will come in front of the Help Committee on a quarterly basis if requested. The Help Committee chair may choose a representative for any board or commission formed to review vaccine safety. A 30-day notice will be given to the committee if the agency seeks to make changes from any of the federal safety monitoring programs. Cassidy will use his authority to rebuff any attempt to remove the public's access to life-saving vaccines that an ironclad evidence that says otherwise. Cassidy will watch for any effort to wrongfully sow confusion about vaccines.
Did anybody out there, because it wasn't me, I didn't vote for Bill Cassidy to be president of the United States. I didn't vote for these individual people to ride roughshod over the cabinet officials in the Trump administration. If they've got a problem with anything Robert Kennedy does in the future, they could call him before Congress and ask him questions about what he's doing. Either confirm him or get out of the fucking way. This piece of shit, just because he's a baby doctor working for the pharmaceutical industry, held up this nomination. If this is true, we don't know if it is true, is outrageous. And Kennedy should come out and either denounce it or agree to it, one or the other. Either say it's true or it's not true, but you can't have individual congressmen or senators owning members of the cabinet, for Christ's sakes. Think about it. It's insane.
Yeah, or he just says, yeah, or he says, yeah, and tells him to F himself after he's confirmed.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, that's your system. That's the system that you like. I personally don't believe that we should actually engage in that type of politics.
I don't believe so either, but it's critical enough that I want the guy in there to hopefully make the changes.
Okay, so what happens when it doesn't happen? Is Bill Cassidy, what is his response going to be when he doesn't do this stuff?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay.
I mean, let's get him in there, and if he doesn't do the stuff and it changes around, Bill Cassidy's not his boss. Donald Trump's his boss. I know. So he can just say the president wants this. Go F yourself.
I completely agree with you, but it is outrageous if true. Making these demands on people. Yeah.
And you know what? I hope that the voters note that at the next election. Maybe that's part of his
retirement. This guy Cassidy,
stuff.
who's ever down in Louisiana, I don't know what part of Louisiana he represents, the Bayou or northern Louisiana or whatever, but this guy's got to go.
Yeah, I mean,
take your fucking baby doctor lifestyle and everything else you got and pack up your bag and go back and work in a hospital. You care that much about it, bro? You shouldn't have left your practice then.
Yeah, they got Joe Kennedy down there. That's a good senator.
Yeah, not
so it's kind of like
it's John Kennedy.
Okay, John. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Tennessee or no, Kentucky. They've got one good senator with Rand Paul, and then they have Mitch McConnell. So I guess it's a mere state. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you could have Virginia where they're both shitheads. Anyway, Dog Boy, Greenland, Trump.
He's voting for Greenland as opposed to Canada. I'm interpreting that.
I think that people understand where I'm going with it. It's get the low-hanging fruit first because Canada's a much trickier thing. Get what you can. Get the another Alaska.
We would dominate Olympic hockey forever.
Yes, so.
Okay.
All right. Pirate Ken with $50. Thank you very much. Having spent 10 years visiting Ukraine, I know this country and its people. Zelensky would trade minerals for peace. Of course. Putin would lose here. He wants to conquer Ukraine for the same resources, but he'd never get past Trump. Let him try. And that's true. I mean, it ends the war and the resources are picked up. Good.
Putin's going to end up with all of Eastern Ukraine and all of those resources. So getting the rare earth minerals will be part of an export by the rest of Ukraine, which there are rare earth minerals in the rest of Ukraine. It's a huge flat country, as Trump has pointed out. But I don't think Putin lost 500,000 men to give up Eastern Ukraine again.
Yeah, we'll find out. Apparently, YouTube objects to the term panty waist simps. No, I do not want to merge with gutless serfs.
He's saying Canadians are gutless serfs? Is that his...
I don't know. It's Ralph Featherstone, and it's U.S.
I don't
dollars.
think they're gutless. I am a big fan of Canada. I'm quite the opposite. I've been to Canada many times, and I have Canadian friends in show business. I'm trying to say that they're, in a lot of ways, better than us, and especially some of the people I've met during my walk of life through the United States.
They're incredibly nice Canadian people, but the way they vote is not cool.
People vote. I mean, we voted for all kinds. People voted for all kinds.
Says
of
a guy who
crazy
lives
stuff.
in California. I'll judge the people near you versus people here.
Look what I have here.
Exactly. So,
am I representative of the people who live here?
And you want to bring more like your peeps that live with you.
I don't think Viva could survive in California. I think he would be destroyed by the left, and it's so far left that even Viva would cry.
He's not that left, but Dick Dickerson, Cash laid out the utter setup on January 6th was during his hearing. A lot of people are finally waking up.
Well, I don't think he went into much detail about the J6 setup in the hearings. I wish he would have. I wish he would have gone into it. That's what I was hoping for.
Go into investigations. That has more meat than just file charges. George Orwell, the DNC chair forum made me laugh out loud. No wonder the leadership of the Dems is in their 80s and refuse to retire. Their leadership based on race has drained them of any real intelligence.
The base of their party is black women. That's what they're stuck with. I've said this 50 times on the show. They've made their bed. Now they got to lie in it.
And good for them. George Orwell, I hope the movie wins all 13 awards.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm looking for this to finally drive a stake into the movie business as it is. This may be, hopefully, the stake that kills the vampire this award season. If they do pick this movie to win these 13 Oscars, it would be a new low. And keep in mind, Netflix put it out. They didn't make it. This is again a negative pickup. It was made by about 25 different companies. A lot of these are negative pickups because they don't want to spend the money up front anymore. So they're buying what's out there. If this makes any sense to people, how the system works. They don't. The biggest risk is to invest in a movie that doesn't exist. You have to take a script, develop a script, and blah, blah, blah. And it takes a long time, takes a lot of risk, takes a lot of money. What they're doing now, because the business has gone so haywire, is they're doing a lot more negative pickups. And that is just going to a film festival, like in this case, Sundance or Cannes, seeing what's there, seeing the reaction, and getting into a bidding war for a particular film. That's what happened with this Emilia Perez. Netflix picked it up, and Netflix is now pushing for Oscar Gold to pay back their thing. I don't blame them. You know, it's business at Netflix. But Netflix is not Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer from 1945. Netflix is a much more transactional company.
You know what would be interesting is it kind of makes me think of Tour de France. I know it's a weird comparison, but Tour de France is riddled with so much doping and drugs and corruption that they've literally talked about just resetting it and saying all records, all awards, you know, from this year back are irrelevant. We're on year one again, and maybe that kind of could happen.
Well, that's why I had
like reset to year one and nothing prior.
I believe that people are not seeing that this selection of these ambassadors means something. I believe that Trump believes the selection of Stallone and Mel Gibson and John Voight as his 3 ambassadors to Hollywood. I believe that he's going to do something serious with this. He didn't do this as an honorary award. They're being referred to as ambassadors. And I believe that he is telling the truth, that he wants to restore the golden era of Hollywood. We've yet to see his moves on this, but that move itself, people believe that was just some sort of honorary thing. It's not. It's not. He's got plans to get China out of the script development part of the business and to get China out of the business itself. But there's more to it. He wants to restore Hollywood and get these movies out of there that are Parasite and Amelia Perez and movies that Shape of Water, movies that are really indie foreign films and not Hollywood fare that we're used to.
Right. And I think that.
And look at Top Gun. When they do make something, it goes bonkers financially. It goes absolutely through the roof. But that's not who's running Hollywood.
No, it's not. And what I was going to say is, I think he picked well. I bet he would have picked Clint Eastwood, except Clint's so old that
Clint's
he probably
too old. Yeah.
But he picked 3 people that have managed to survive being out there conservatives. They've never hidden how they felt, and they're still incredibly successful. Those are good people to pick. It's like, okay, they have enough juice that even in a hostile environment, they're still names that can, cause huge waves.
Yeah, when I saw the trailer originally for Gladiator 2, and I saw that Denzel was the Roman emperor, I'm going like, how did this happen? How do I get there in my mind, story-wise, where this black dude who plays a gangster in a lot of pictures. He's, by the way, he puts on no accent whatsoever. He acts like a gangster in the picture with modern urban patois.
Oh God! So so what you're saying is that it's Gladiator by the way of Hamilton?
No, not Hamilton so much. I mean, Hamilton is similar to this Amelia Perez thing, but what was the movie he did? I'm trying to remember. He plays an LAPD cop, and he's a corrupt cop.
I remember. Yeah. Training Day.
Training Day. It's that character as the Roman emperor, and I'm going like, what the fuck? And everyone else has a British accent, and I'm going like, oh my God, this is just crazy. It's a bridge too far.
Wow. All right, Scott Harmon, I was laughing my ass off at Schumer's Carrot Top prop routine. So glad you called it out. The same old shit isn't working, and they haven't caught on.
Yeah, it's like the end. Put it this way, Scott, it's the end of vaudeville, right? It's like vaudeville ended, and then there were still cats trying to do vaudeville who didn't get the message that vaudeville was done. And there was a new type of entertainment.
Wow. Oh, there's some Rumble rants that came in. Amdrum 12 said, wasn't it said that FEMA ran out of money, which is why they couldn't continue to help North Carolina? Sounds like you said could have given some money.
Could be. It's hard to tell where. First of all, they were outed for giving money to illegal aliens, FEMA, and setting them up. So God knows how that happened. And then here they were giving out checks to people who were getting through, to the tune of $46,000 in resettlement money.
This is interesting. Huron Trader said over 20,000 federal employees took the buyout.
Yeah, but how many are there in total? I mean, that's a drop in the bucket.
That's still huge. It all counts.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure 20,000 federal employee average salary is probably close to 100 G. So that's $2 billion right off the top at a minimum in salary.
But they're gone.
Yeah,
they're not going to be replaced.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So that's
even though
awesome.
It's $2 billion, it's saving you.
That's saving you $2 billion plus is what I'm saying. Not only that, what about the office to deal with them? What about all the equipment? What about the HR to run them? There's so many ancillary.
You're preaching to the choir. I'm surprised he gave him 8 fucking months.
Should have. I think that was smart.
A weekly check.
No, I think it's smart because we talked about that. I think You give them 8 months, and then it's like a sliding scale. If you leave at day one, you get the biggest money.
Oh,
But if you
is
go,
it a sliding scale? Is it or no?
I don't know, but that's what I would want to do is say, okay, I
Right.
am going to cut the government X amount. Now, if you quit now, you get 8 months. If I talk to you in August, you get 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, but when Ronald Reagan came in, he fired all the air traffic controllers because he didn't give them any severance. He just said, "You're done."
Yeah, well,
You know.
Anyway, Diffuse, did you guys see AOC and Jon Stewart trashing Pelosi for insider trading?
No,
But you're-
really, it's so late. I'm so happy for Jon Stewart 9,000 years later to come on board. He's so hip, bro. He's so cutting edge, Jon Stewart.
I mean, whatever.
Give me a break.
Jon Stewart's like the even more retarded Bill Maher.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Bill Maher can, kind of float it a little bit. Canada, Beaver goes back.
Oh yeah, we got Bieber from those guys. All right, we'll give you Bieber back. We'll give you Bieber. But there's some. I mean, you got to give us Alanis Morissette, though. I could trade you straight up, Morissette for Bieber.
She's already here, though, isn't she?
Yeah, but these people go back and forth.
Wow. Oh, okay. So while we're speaking about employment, you might enjoy this. Chuck Todd is quitting NBC News, and
don't tell me.
He's taking his Chuck Todd cast with him. I'm sure.
No. What does he have? Like a team of rivals there that work with him?
I don't
Does he have
know.
a group of yes men?
Probably
His producing team, or what does he have? Like a crew or something? Or
I don't know. His last day was last Friday. He's gone.
I'm telling you, you're just seeing the beginning of these changes. You really are just seeing the tip of the iceberg, bro, because it's not sustainable. The country has moved too far into the Trump camp for these guys to take a economic bath when you've got 30,000 people watching MSNBC.
I agree. Now, did you see this story? I think it's interesting that they arrested the airport authority employees that leaked the.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was interesting too. I didn't know what to make of it. I thought it was rather draconian, but that was weird.
Yeah, that's when I want to know more information.
Yeah.
As to why, because were there security procedures?
Yeah, what's
Did
the
they
deal there?
Steal it out of there. I don't know. I want to make sure that I know for sure that it's wrong. It just seems odd.
Yeah,
it seems odd. And then we had had another story. We can't say anything out loud because it's YouTube. So
okay.
dance around this. We had a migrant who did things to a sleeping woman.
Oh, right.
He's been cut loose in a plea deal.
Yeah.
But then the feds stepped in.
That was in Queens, New York. He did something to someone sleeping. You can read the headlines yourself. You don't need us to say it. But the feds moved in and got him.
Oh,
they got the guy.
Breaking news. Trump says he will take over the Gaza Strip after relocating all Palestinians.
Right on. Dude, he has plans for this thing. He's meeting with Netanyahu right now. That's why it's interesting.
No, I know, but that is really interesting.
You know what my plan was originally was to just build condos. I had a condo plan for that too 25 years ago.
Mark loves his condos and trailers.
It's not, I don't even live in them, but the point of the matter is basically the dispute, and I've said this 25 years ago, the Israelis were building condos, right? This is a border dispute about condos, essentially, because that was the original intifada that they were building these condos for Israelis. It was a condo dispute.
Well, one thing, okay, they better be in neighboring countries. I saw something earlier about possibly a lot of them going to Indonesia.
Yeah. Again, I came up with this a long time ago of paying the Palestinians X amount of money to give them a deadline to get out. And apparently the Swedes are doing it with the guys they have. But my original plan was to pay every one of them $5,000 or a number to be determined later. Please don't attack me for the $5,000. I started this rant in the 80s. Each of them gets $5,000 to go to one of the countries that is prearranged to take them, and you can't come back, and you got to get out by midnight on that night. You could go to this country, and they pay for the airfare to get them out of there, and it's a way to empty the entire space.
Well, you could do my sliding scale idea.
Yeah.
So start with 50 grand today, and then down to.
I never really got hung up on the numbers because I thought that they would be changed over the decades. But the original idea I had was to get a fund, have them raise money worldwide to do this, and have them take the buyout and go to a country that has agreed to take 1,000, 10,000, 4,000, 700, just like they did with the Syrians. Remember, they had like an auction of how many Syrians you're going to take. That's what I thought of 20 years ago, 25 years ago, in regards to the Palestinians. Well, you can't do it, Mark, because fill in the blank.
Well, I mean,
apparently Trump's got the same idea.
Yeah, I mean, as people are saying too, because it's so shocking how fast he's moving.
Mm-hmm.
But he has had 4 years of literally drawing policy, planning.
Yep.
And, good on him, obviously.
I think he's been in contact with a lot of experts on the Middle East.
And he has to have been in contact with the people involved. Like he's going to be talking to these countries like, so, would you do this if blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. How can we make this work?
He also has other plans that if, let's say, Iran were to take him out, I don't know if you saw this.
It's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions.
Oh, and in the drawer, there's an envelope.
Obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence.
Yeah, he was dealing with CAA and his movie deals.
If that happens to a leader or close to a leader, frankly, had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran.
I'm good for that. Total obliteration of state. Now, that being said, I could see these Palestinians thriving in their new country called Ukraine that has lost so many men. I'm serious. I mean, look how many they've lost, close to 1 million men in the Ukraine. What better place to put a couple of 100,000 Palestinians? I know it's cold. But nevertheless, this is a free setup for you guys. You're going to have to learn to cook, more of a mutton stew kind of Ukrainian borscht, shav, different, food culinary treats. But hey, the Jews have wandered around the world.
Okay. All right. You shared this with me from Scott Adams.
Yeah, what's going on with Scott Adams? I think he said something that I thought was weird.
Is hyperbole is real or illegal? DOJ investigation into Chuck Schumer for threatening Supreme Court justices.
I don't think it was hyperbole at all because they immediately went to Kavanaugh's house and surrounded his house on the directions of Scott Schumer. I don't think it was hyperbole. I mean, to have
Chuck Schumer.
What did I say?
Scott Schumer.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck Schumer. Let's see what happens. This is my beef with these cats. They don't even want to retaliate, if that's even the word here, by opening up investigations into stuff that was so flagrantly insane what Schumer was doing, literally sicking the mob on Supreme Court justices. Maybe he'll win the case. Maybe he'll win in court criminally. But we can't allow this to go unnoticed and unpunished. I don't know what Scott's problem is with this. He decides what's hyperbole.
Scott's
or he's a contrarian.
He's a contrarian. We've talked about that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
He's always,
it caught my eye because I was so happy that the Justice Department has opened up a case against Chuck Schumer For him to say that, I thought was just a cheap shot.
Yeah, I mean,
one guy was arrested with so many weapons at Kavanaugh's house. This assassin who showed up to kill Kavanaugh, loaded for bear with zip ties.
I remember that a couple of years ago. Right?
Yes, he showed up. And what am I supposed to say? That it's not because of Chuck Schumer, or it is because of Chuck Schumer? I don't know. Let a jury decide.
Now, somebody in the chat pointed out it was Schumer who said 6 ways to Sunday to get him. About
You're talking about
Trump.
the intelligence agencies. Yeah, that's a separate thing. But his attacks on the Supreme Court cannot go unanswered.
Yeah. Let me see. Turns out the deep state used, you said, to oust Bolsonaro from Brazil.
Yeah, I was looking at that this morning. That's what I was trying to explain about U.S. American investment development, crazy CIA deep state operations like this. They went in to undermine Bolsonaro's campaign. And this is one of the things I was trying to explain, how this is used. Barack Obama tried to use it against Netanyahu back in the day, and they've been using this as a political tool for years.
Amazing. Yeah, Elon can pick some good enemies.
Yeah.
Marlene says, send Biden's death sentence commutations to Guatemala. You mean El Salvador?
El Salvador, yeah. I don't think anyone's left in Guatemala. They're all here. I think there's a sign on the gate at Guatemala saying, left for El Norte.
Maybe. Mark H10, Jim Acosta for mayor of Havana. Let him live in his politics.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like the real hardcore anarchists I always encourage to go to the Sudan or
they very rarely do. Some of them do, though. I mean, there are people who, walk the walk and talk the talk, but it's rare.
Both of them. Al Gonzalez, hope they are tracking the Iranian hit squads that are in this country now. Not crazy about Trump going to Super Bowl.
Yeah, this well, somebody's got to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, he loves the game. I mean, if everybody gets blown up at the Super Bowl, Trump's going to go with him. You're thinking, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's right.
Al, let me ask Al something. Was there a CIA designated person or two in New York City Police Department intelligence squad that had to interface with CIA? And I'll take my answer off the air.
Okay, fair enough. Let me see if there's any more rumble rants. Okay, Incoherence said regarding Canada-USA merger. I'm in Alberta. Large regions are pretty conservative, but smaller population than more left-leaning regions. Many would like your two-way, but being run by DC isn't better than Ottawa. Again, I'm okay. As long as we could carve out, I'll take all of Alberta, absolutely. And Saskatchewan, I think, next to it is probably pretty good. I don't want Ontario. I don't want Quebec. I don't want all the leftist stuff in Canada. I'm sorry. I'm just picky. I would like to solidify our politics first before we import essentially a whole ton of Democrats, which is what we would have in my opinion. And on that note, we're going to be heading over.
That's it?
Yeah, we're going to be heading over to locals. That's not it.
Oh,
partying at locals. You told everybody earlier. Hey,
no, I didn't know what time we go over there. Sometimes it's now, sometimes it's later.
Well, we're 2 hours in. I figure 2 hours in. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We continue over there.
I mean, Hunley's got to go to the bathroom. So we're 2 hours in. Hunley's got to go to the bathroom.
This is the loyalty of a
no, I don't
show.
care. It doesn't faze me. We're going to keep the show going anyway. I put up some secret documents this morning on locals for members only. The Schlesinger Jr. memos to Kennedy that were in JFK's library, and they're still redacted. There's still pages 8 and 9 that are redacted. This involves Schlesinger's plan to destroy the CIA and how to do it, because he was tasked by JFK to come up with a memo on how to deal with the CIA. Awesome. I put that up this morning for members on locals.
Sweet. There you go. Another reason to consider going to locals, joining it for free. Doesn't cost anything. Now that one, I don't know. Is that a free document or not?
No.
It's not. Okay.
I'm
There's
saying
extra-
I put it up for members
Supporters
only. Yeah.
Supporters.
Supporters.
Members are free, supporters pay. But anyway, you could be a member. Most content like this show without commercials is free. All of our episodes are on locals for free. And we have added material. And if you want to support,
Wait, you going to tell them about the meetup, how they get tickets?
well, I have
The regular
to,
people, right?
I have to put the tickets up.
No, but tell them what your plan is. I don't know. What are you?
I mean, I plan to any day now put the tickets up for
Okay.
sale.
Right on, right
and
on.
then we'll have links, and every show coming up will have links to get the tickets
Right.
once we settle in and have that set up.
Okay. So you
So-
get dinner with it. It's cash bars. You're not getting free drinks. So
Right.
that's out for you drunks. Yeah, it's never going to happen. But we're in Vegas, so anything that happens, you don't have to bring it back. You could just leave it there.
Exactly. And the tickets will be coming up.
You got
very,
2 months
very
to
soon.
figure this out, you fat bastards. This is like a long.
Well,
lead
you know
time,
the
Eric.
date, so you can book.
April 12th. This is just
Right.
barely.
You can book your transportation. You can book your hotels
You got 2
all
months
ahead of time.
Right.
Yes.
You literally, we gave you, because some people were complaining last time that they didn't have enough time. And we only told them it was election day. And they go, what day is that? They couldn't
Well, it
figure
was
out.
about a month out, but it
Yeah.
is what it is. We gave
Now
a lot
it's
more
2
time,
months, 2 months.
and I think it should work out well.
Not
I'm
only
looking
that, you
forward
can
to it.
ask Barnes any question you want. I mean, just think about that. It's going to be Barnes's birthday, and you can say, I wanted to ask. You can talk to Robert, who does talk to everyone. I'm like very people friendly, far more than I am.
Yeah, not only that, we may have more people there. Like it's looking like Nate the lawyer will be there for those who want a chance to meet him.
I think Viva too has agreed to come. Yeah,
No.
so it may be an all-star team. It may be bigger than we even imagined at this point. We may have created a monster, a runaway freight train,
But we'll continue to discuss that
and locals.
and
with
locals
you.
right now.
That's a big deal to you, this locals. All right, well, let's see what
Mhm.
happens over there.
There you go.